So can we check who is online, whether Senator Isaac Mwaura and Senator Sakaja online? Senator Sakaja, Senator Musuruve, Senator Isaac Mwaura.
Then fix the cameras.
And Senator Musuruve.
Remove all the batteries and
on my phone, yeah? Okay. Senator Sakaja, online. We are ready for you, Senator Sakaja.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 47.1, I rise to make a statement on an unfortunate incident, Madam Speaker, that I think all Kenyans are aware of, that occurred on Friday, the 4th of March 2022, along Wangari Maathai Road in Nairobi City County, and whose video recording was widely circulated via social media on Monday, the 7th of March 2022. Madam Speaker, a middle-aged lady was sexually harassed and assaulted by a mob of rogue Bodabodas riders for allegedly knocking one of them in an accident. It is sad, Madam Speaker, that the riders took the matter into their own hands in total disregard of the law and assaulted the lady in broad daylight. Madam Speaker, this impunity has become the norm in many areas of our society, and many Kenyans have fallen victim to rogue elements within the Bodaboda industry. And Madam Speaker, when I say rogue elements, it is not all of them. Some riders have become a law unto themselves. They flaunt traffic rules, they go round roundabouts anti-clockwise, they ride on pedestrian walkways, and others have become accomplices in robberies. But, Madam Speaker, this kind of impunity is unacceptable, and we vehemently and strongly condemn these criminal acts. In as much as this sector has employed many of our young people, we must ensure that this industry operates under the law and there must be order. Madam Speaker, law enforcement agencies must not allow rogue elements within the industry to continue to spoil the name for those others who are trying to eke out an honest living and jeopardize the livelihoods of thousands of others who depend on this work. I sincerely, Madam Speaker, express my sympathy to the victim, and even on behalf of all men, give apologies for what she has gone through, and to her family and women at large, especially on this International Women's Day. This cannot be the way we operate, and will certainly not be the manner in our capital city, Nairobi. Our mothers, sisters, daughters, and all road users must feel and be safe at all times. Madam Speaker, I urge the Inspector General of Police to expedite investigations, arrest, and charge the culprits involved in this heinous act. And further, Madam Speaker, under your own discretion, to be summoned or invited the Traffic Commandant, the Inspector General of Police, and the Nairobi County Commissioner, together with the leadership of this sector, who I've been speaking with today, to come and outline the measures that are going to be put in place to make sure that there is order and sanity in the Bodaboda sector, so that we also don't victimize those who are doing honest work. And so that all road users in Nairobi and in this country at large, Madam Speaker, have a sense of order and safety. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
We heard you very clearly. I now ask calling Senator Mbogo George Ochilo Ayako.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity to add my voice to condemning this misbehavior by our young people who ferry passengers and go by the distinction Bodabodas. Madam Speaker, we know how important Bodaboda is to our society. It has bridged the gap of transporting people, the gap of movement from one point to the other. But we also know that criminal elements are having a stronghold over the management and behavior of Bodaboda persons. It is unfortunate that in broad daylight, or even if it was not broad daylight, that in Kenya, just because an accident has occurred, occasioned by whosoever, you find that young persons attack a lady or attack a person. It's fortunate that this was captured by somebody and posted in social media. What we want done is, what action are the law enforcement agencies going to take to ensure that such incidences do not happen again? This will continue to happen if people do it and get away with it. In other parts of Kenya, where there are many boda riders, if an accident happens, and accidents are not deliberate, you find that the person who is not a boda, who may have been involved in that accident, may actually get killed, may get their vehicles or whatever they were using, burned down. So law enforcement, which ensures that justice is administered in accordance with the law, should ensure that boda victims who are victims of road accidents access justice, but they are not permitted to take the law into their own hands, injure or destroy property belonging to individuals and get away with it. This kind of action continue to make our society unsafe, given that boda people are mobile, they are hard to trace, and generally operate under a mob mentality. So what the police are going to do to ensure that they put in place mechanism of detection, prevention, and reinstitution to those who suffer is what is going to ensure that impunity of this magnitude does not carry on. I want to conclude by extending my apologies on behalf of boda people who I represent. I represent them in Migori and anywhere in Kenya, and all men who were involved in harassing this very innocent lady. And I want to urge the police to ensure that people who engage in such behavior are apprehended, brought to book, and are tracked wherever they are, so that they do not continue committing such offenses. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thanks to Senator Sakaja for raising this matter.
Senator Hargura Godana.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'd like to thank Senator Sakaja for bringing up this issue, and also I'd like to join him and my other colleagues in condemning the heinous acts which are committed against the innocent Kenyan lady. Madam Speaker, for some time now, and I think it's because the boda sector started maybe on a wrong footing, it was not taken seriously by making sure that they abide by traffic rules. The boda rider need to have license like any other motorist. Because right now what is going on is an individual will just buy a motorbike and train and learn while using the same the motorbike on the road where the other road users are. It has developed a mob mentality where boda riders will always come to the rescue of any of their own who is involved in an accident. More often than not, you'll find they are the ones who are even causing these accidents by not following the traffic rules, riding on the roadside, on the wrong side of the road, not obeying traffic lights, and doing all manner of breakage of the traffic rules. And you'll find that with the time, they have developed into a system of their own, where if one of them is involved in an accident, they'll just come, all of a sudden you'll find yourself surrounded by these boda riders because of their high level of mobility, and that is why they have grown into what they have grown. Unfortunately, the traffic police system in this country has not taken it seriously. They have not clamped down and insisted that they follow the law. In Marsabit County, recently, the same bodabodas have been involved in actually conducting the what I will call targeted killing, because they have been involved in killing people in broad daylight. Daylight, somebody will ride on a boda, find you on the road, shoot you, and still proceed. You'll come to somebody's shop, the bike will be parked out there, somebody will come in, shoot the shop operator, then quickly move on to the bike and disappear until the security system in Marsabit had to outlaw usage of bodabodas within the town. For some time there was some calmness, and I'm not saying it's all of them, but we are saying criminal elements within that bodaboda sector have been misused. And even within Nairobi, it's not all of them who behave like that way, but that criminal element within the sector has spoiled the good name or otherwise useful transport sector to a level now they are involved in crime, they are law unto themselves, and there is need to quickly take action. I know today the CS Internal Security has addressed that issue together with the CS Transport, but it needs to be enforced clearly. Let's have very clear guidance for operation of this sector, and have very strict implementation of traffic rules, especially by the boda sector. I know right now around this time, most of these, being election time, and most of these boda operators being youth, there might be that tendency by leadership of this country, of the politicians, to try and go slow on it. But the direction they are taking requires firm action. We have to be very clear that what is targeted is the wrong part of the boda sector, and it has to be clamped down seriously so that going forward, that sector needs to be streamlined. We know what the late Michuki did to the matatu sector. It was so rogue, but when he clamped down with some resistance, still they complied. So we need that kind of firmness in dealing with this boda sector so that we stop the kind of menace they have on our roads, the unlawful practices they have on our roads. And now, as I have said, in my county, it has been gone into security issues where they're being used by criminals to execute people in broad daylight because of their mobility, and that now has become taken a life of its own, so that we don't even know who is killing who, because they are using those kind of swift systems like boda, and that needs to be taken seriously. The security system of this country needs to treat this as a developing and evolving source of insecurity in this country, not only on the roads, but even to the lives and livelihood of other Kenyans. Thank you.
Senator Masitsa Naomi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support a statement by Senator Sakaja on the harassment of the young lady on Wangare Maathai Road. Madam Speaker, for those who have not seen that video, I saw it yesterday and I saw it late at night. I could not even sleep because what I saw, the picture that I saw in the picture, it was totally disheartening. It was harassment, it was violation of human rights, it was intimidation, and I want to support Senator Sakaja into condemning that heinous act by our young youth, especially those who took part into harassing that lady over the weekend. I know the video came a little bit late, but I understand the incident happened over the weekend. It is unfortunate, and I want to thank the Ministry of Interior for coming up quickly and addressing the situation. But it is not only addressing the situation. We need to hear that those people are in. Without any case, let them be arrested. We want them even to be undressed the way they undressed this lady. We want them to be beaten the way they were beaten by the way they beat this lady. We want them, because this lady was yelling, Madam Speaker, and there are all those manner of acts that were happened. I understand she was taken I understand she was taken, some money was taken from her, and she was all alone against all these men. And it is very unfortunate that our daughters are exposed to that particular act. I am sorry that even us women, where we are seated, we are not even safe. Even anybody who is who comes into such an accident, we are not safe. But the Bodabodas have taken over the rights of harassing our people. I am so happy that the president today mentioned it in our celebration day of International Women's Day in Kenya School of Government, and I am happy that he has said that let the law take its course and let the people who committed this crime or who did this be arrested with the immediate effect. How I pray that they are arrested now. And I want to be part and parcel of those people who, or those the people who are going to undress those people. I just want to undress them. I just want to participate into beating them.
Senator Naomi
because
Shionga.
it is so sad.
Order, Senator. I think we will not be solving solving the issue.
Okay, Madam Speaker, it's
by
because I'm
taking
a mother.
the law into our hands. So as a legislator, I think you would be urging that the law be followed.
Okay, I urge that the law be followed, but Madam Speaker, if you look at that video, and I will forward it to you, just look at that lady, how she was. Even if it is your daughter, she's our daughter, she's a Kenyan. It is so sad, but let me tone down by saying that let law take its hand. We are celebrating International Women's Day, and the same women, we are still being harassed in such a public way. It is very unfortunate, and such kind of retrogressive behavior should be stopped. Madam Speaker, in this country, we are going back to ancient days where we do not need anybody to be harassed in such a days. And we do not want our boys or our young youth to be part and parcel of the camp. I know they have the freedom. I know these people have the freedom of being everywhere and transporting. They are doing a good work of even transporting these women, the same women, to maybe unreachable place or the place where they want to reach. But they are taking law into hand, and they are frustrating the same women that they are supposed to protect. So I just want to concur with the senator there that let these people be brought on books, let these people be shown the way, let these people be disciplined. Discipline is the best way, and let them toe the line, because Kenya does not belong to one person who harasses others instead of supporting people and harmony and the peace that we are preaching. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Adan Dulo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let me join my colleagues in actually thanking Senator Sakaja for having brought this statement. Madam Speaker, secondly, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate all Kenyan women, especially on this special Women's Day. I'm sure there's a lot that we celebrate today as a result of achievements that we had as women in this country and having done so much. Madam Speaker, though I was not around, I have actually seen in the social media what happened, which is really, really unacceptable. Madam Speaker, this is a sector that has really helped Kenyans. This is a sector that has given employment to our youth. Where I come from, like, for example, Isiolo, you will see that even graduates who are unemployed actually riding bodaboda. That is where they earn their source of livelihood. Madam Speaker, there is a lot that we need to do as leaders in this country as far as bodaboda is concerned. In a society, you can't miss element of people who are criminals, and I'm sure what happened on Friday is what is unacceptable, and it's that few group that is actually spoiling the name of the sector, which is actually unacceptable. Madam Speaker, personally, I feel like we need to have a legislation that governs bodaboda. It's very critical. This is a sector where so many young boys and so many individuals have lost their lives. A lot needs to be done, and especially the sector sometimes is also associated with crimes in most of this part of this country. Madam Speaker, I thank the President. I've seen today in his statement he has really given serious warning to those people who are involved and relevant government institutions that have actually spoken about it. But as a society, Bodaboda sector has complemented actually transport system in our country. This is actually a commendable job, especially coming from our young youth. For example, in Nairobi, sometimes when you get late for a meeting or any assignment, people just get out of their vehicles and jump onto Bodaboda. But if they are associated with this kind of thing, it will also discourage the sector. Madam Speaker, I hope the government and also relevant institutions are going to bring this to book, especially those who are involved. And if I'm not wrong, I've had about 16 Bodaboda riders have already taken in, and I hope serious action will be taken against them so that it's actually a discipline or action against all those who are involved in a criminal act in this particular sector. I thank you and I support the statement.
Senator Sylvia Kasanga, online, Zoom.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I'll start by thanking Senator Sakaja for bringing this statement. Yeah, there you go. I thank you so much, Senator Sakaja, for bringing this statement and for being a he for she, a voice of men fighting for women and their rights. I also take this opportunity to say to the women of Kenya, Happy International Women's Day. And indeed, I just want to remind Senate one more time that back in 2018, I actually raised a motion. We debated a motion on matters to do with Bodabodas. And we discussed a lot of issues that the government needed to look into. We raised issues of insecurity that happened amongst some of the Bodabodas. We raised issues on operationalization of the regulations of Bodabodas, and we discussed a whole lot of good things and the negative ones as well. And we put the ministry to task to do something about Bodabodas, and that was back in 2018. It is of course heartbreaking when you see the videos of this event that happened on Friday, and it pains me that that Madam Speaker, the fact that we've always complained that we don't have an implementation committee to push for some of our motions and our statements, to see them, to see whatever Senate resolves come to light is a bit painful, especially when something like this happens. This House had discussed in detail on what needed to be done in the Bodaboda sector, and now here we are, heartbroken over what has happened to our fellow Kenyans, and this is one of the few things that has come into the fore because of social media. There are many other negative things that happen to Kenyans around Bodaboda issues, and there's no question about it, like the other senators have said. There is much more regulation that is needed around Bodabodas, probably a legislation as well, but a lot of discipline is required. And we don't even need to go so far, Madam Speaker. Just here in Kigali, Rwanda, you find the Bodaboda sector absolutely organized, and they follow the laws of traffic as it should be. So at that time when we raised the statement, and of course we're looking at NTSA because they're the ones who are resident with the regulations of Bodaboda. To this day, Madam Speaker, I don't know what has become of those issues that were discussed back in 2018. And frankly speaking, it's bad when we are always reacting to things as if we are not sure what needs to be done. So, Madam Speaker, this is a conversation Senate has had before, and we had it in depth because it was a motion that was deeply debated by senators. And I hope, Madam Speaker, this statement that we shall see all those government officials that where you're going to put the statement in the committee, let them come and answer to us, and hopefully even have a committee of the whole. Because you see what happens is now that we're in an election year, Bodabodas are also used a lot by the politicians. And you know, we need to have these honest conversations with ourselves on how we need to help this sector that has a lot of positives for Kenyans and for young people, as well as the negatives in there. So I want to thank Senator Sakaja for this statement. And Madam Speaker, I'm hoping to see that we are going to get some real action when it comes to, you know, bringing some sanity to some of these issues that we see. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Senator Wambua Enoch.
Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise in support of the statement by the Nairobi Senator, Senator Sakaja. And Madam Speaker, before I even make my comments on the statement, I'll take this opportunity to congratulate and wish all the women of this country a happy International Women's Day. I know that it's a day that women take time out to celebrate the achievements and even plan way forward. Madam Speaker, if you allow me, I actually want to really thank and congratulate the women in Kitui County, because I know today they have so many events lined up for these celebrations. And my wife is actually attending some of those events in Kitui East, in Ndau Malalani, in Zombe Mwitika, Mutito Kaliku. It's a good day for women to celebrate. It is made really worse by the incident that happened in Nairobi at the weekend for an event or an incident that has brought about this statement. Madam Speaker, I am a firm believer in the E for She movement, where real men respect women, and a movement that believes that only cowards would physically assault women. Madam Speaker, the provisions of the statement by Senator Sakaja, I think the foremost thing that he's looking for is a situation where the IG takes action against the Bodaboda riders who assaulted this lady. Madam Speaker, I will want to add my voice and say that he should not just act, he has to be seen to have acted. It is one thing to arrest 16 young people. It's a completely different thing to follow through and make sure that then justice is served. Madam Speaker, this matter is also a little complicated. Complicated because it is possible that somebody may want to use this incident to overreach themselves and to ask Bodabodas to come up with a blanket condemnation of Bodaboda riders. Whereas the truth of the matter, Madam Speaker, is that in this country, as things stand now, perhaps the Bodaboda sector is one of the very few sectors that present growth and hope for young people. The thing to do, Madam Speaker, on account of what happened on Friday and going forward, is to ensure that this industry is properly regulated, that a way is found to instill order in this industry. Madam Speaker, there are a lot of lives that we are losing of young people who join this sector, simply because it's a free-for-all sector. A young man who gets some money and they are able to purchase a motorbike will just walk into a shop, purchase a motorbike, and start riding. I have an incident, Madam Speaker, that happened in my county last week, where a young man worked very, very hard. got some money. He was able to buy a motorbike, went to Mwingi town and purchased a motorbike. He came and picked his nephew. They went to a town called Ukasi, and on their way back home, they were involved in a head-on collision with a truck, and we lost that boy on the day that he bought the motorbike. Perhaps, Madam Speaker, if there were regulations in this industry, that young man would not have been allowed to just walk into a shop, buy a motorbike, and ride into his death, unfortunately. Madam Speaker, there is need for government, and one of the senators, I think it was Senator Kasanga, let's avoid this thing of just reacting to situations when they happen. Let's also look for ways of being proactive to ensure that if we appreciate that this industry is a growth industry, is a growth sector, then we must put measures in place to ensure that we regulate this growth and ensure that these young people are first protected against themselves, and there are rules governing how they operate so that they don't become a law unto themselves. Lastly, Madam Speaker, I appreciate the fact that the President is seized of this matter. He has pronounced himself on this matter, and I hope that following that pronouncement, then what Senator Sakaja is seeking shall be achieved in much less time to ensure that justice is served to this lady and her family, and that also justice is served to those people behind this attack. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Senator Inima Gertrude.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. And kindly allow me to thank Senator Sakaja for coming up with this statement. And I want to say that Senator Sakaja is usually very sensitive about issues to do with women. And he has many times been articulating issues of the girl child, women, and also the vulnerable in this country. And I'm happy that it has also come to his attention, and he has brought it on the floor of this House about the harassment of women. And Honorable Speaker, this was a very unfair act that was meted on the woman, and it is unfortunate that Bodaboda riders did this, because the Bodaboda rider sector is a very big sector that is involved in employment, employing the youth. So these few Bodaboda riders...
Sorry, Order, Senator Musuruve, there is an intervention by Senator Ochilo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Senator Musuruve is my permanent neighbor, and I therefore derive no pleasure in interfering with her flow of thought. But I heard her say that Senator Sakaja has something to do with women. If it is not clarified, Madam Speaker, somebody might extrapolate that to mean things that we may not want this House to be thought of. So I want to beg her to say what Senator Sakaja likes about women. I think things to do with women, so that we are not misunderstood as a House. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I think Senator Musuruve can clarify, but I heard her say that Senator Sakaja is sensitive about issues of women. So maybe you can clarify for
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And Senator Ochilo Ayako is a very good friend of mine, and he sits next to me. And I just want to clarify to him that when it comes to issues of women in this House, legislative issues are the issues I'm talking about. Senator Sakaja has come out strongly to defend the position of women. So it has to really go straight in the answer that the issues we are talking about are legislative matters in this country. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker,
A point of order from Senator Sakaja.
Information.
Oh, it's information. Senator Musuruve, you would like to be informed.
kindly let him inform me.
Senator Sakaja.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank Senator Musuruve for that defense. But I just like to inform her, not just in the House, even outside the House, Madam Speaker, issues of women are very, very close to my heart. Having grown up as an only boy with my sisters, when I see such an issue and that incident, I see my sisters, I see my daughter. And so even in Nairobi, my greatest support is from women, and I will always stand to be counted when it comes to women issues. So I just want to clarify, not just in the House or legislatively, even outside the House and in many other aspects. I like working very closely with the women of Nairobi, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Senator Sakaja. Baba Emily has spoken. Honorable Speaker, the act was very inhumane. It was inhuman, and it was callous. And it is an act that should be condemned, in every way, that the law must take its course, so that the action becomes an example, to other Bodaboda riders, because Bodaboda industry is rich. And it is an industry that is helping our young people, and it is unfortunate that a few people want now to ferment, the industry. So I want to say, Honorable Speaker, undressing was a very callous act. It was inhuman. And I want to say, Honorable Speaker, I'm happy that the President has taken upon himself to ensure that the law takes its course. And as legislators, we need to come up with a regulatory framework that will ensure that this industry is protected and is actually serving what it is meant to serve, Honorable Speaker. I support this statement from Senator Sakaja. Thank you.
Senator Cheriot Aaron.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this chance also. I want to pass my remarks in support of this statement by our colleague Senator Sakaja. We all watched that very horrifying video, Madam Speaker. And for me, first of all, as a man and as a father of two daughters, that really shocked me, because it could as well have been your wife, your daughter, your sister, your mother, who was involved in that unfortunate incident and the events that followed thereafter. It's extremely wrong. I hope the law takes its course. Each of those young men that participated in that activity are arrested and taken before a competent court of law for the full force of the law to be effected on this particular matter, Madam Speaker. For indeed, we cannot, much as many of us support the young men that apply their hustle via the Bodabodas, this is not the kind of behavior that we expect of them. Kenya is a country governed by the rule of law, and anytime you feel somebody has done something that is not fair to you, or you don't agree with them, there is a way, the expected nature, of conduct on how you're supposed to react to these issues. Therefore, what those young men did, Madam Speaker, is extremely embarrassing. First of all, to the generation, to the menfolk, and even to us as a country, because this video, Madam Speaker, have been sent by a few friends, actually, from outside of the boundaries of Kenya. And they're asking what happened to your young men. Is this true? Because by the time people see it outside in the rest of the world, they get that to be the understanding of what Kenya looks like, how we solve our issues as a nation. And indeed, this is extremely embarrassing. The IG has his work cut out. Let them do thorough investigation, not just rush to take the men to court, but let them do a good job, so that from the video, because many of the faces on that video are recognizable, and people can point out and say, this is so-and-so, this is so-and-so. Let each of those people that participated be able to face the full force of the law. However, Madam Speaker, having said that, it presents before us a unique challenge as policymakers. I remember towards the end of last year, the president came not very far from here, 1 or 2 kilometers away from here, and launched something about Bodaboda registration at, I think it was done at Muthurwa Market, if I'm not wrong. What became of that process? What eventually did his ministry do? Did they bungle that project and await for this opportunity such that we are only getting knee-jerk reaction? You know, Madam Speaker, unfortunately, because I've watched also CS Fred Matiang'i speak about this issue earlier today, and it's still not clear to me as a legislator and a representative of people of what is expected of each of these individual boda cyclists, Madam Speaker, because you know many of the people that ply this trade are decent young men and women, people with families. This is their formal job, and they do it with a lot of respect and dignity, and they work extremely hard and pay a lot of taxes through fuel and licenses and all the regulatory clearances that they have got to get. Therefore, we cannot just in one soup of condemnation paint them with one brush and refer to them as if they are a group of rowdy, useless people. There must be clear policy position on what is expected of them. If they are to be registered, by who, from where, is there a cost attached to it? The reason why we ask these questions, Madam Speaker, is because if you do not do that, then you're setting up our young men against our police officers for them to be actually more bleached. And you know now the excuse will be like, the president has said we come after you. That's not what is expected of us that are in leadership. When you're confronted with the kind of problem that you're being confronted in, and this is a challenge that we deal with every day. You'll be, Madam Speaker, I'm sure you know, I don't know how it is in Kajiado where you come from, but if you ask many of us that come from the densely populated areas, those from Kisii, like my good neighbor Professor Ongeri, and the rest, they'll tell you, nowadays it's extremely difficult to sometimes do functions because of these young men. They follow you from one function to the other, insist on money, follow, and they are rowdy and that kind of a thing. But it's still not an excuse for us to condemn them wholesomely. Therefore, can we get a clear policy position from the Ministry of Interior on what is expected on each of these cyclists, so that as their leaders, we can even assist them to comply, because that's part of our work as well. We can help even do public training of them and let them be in the know of what is expected individually of them, that the government expects you now as a boda rider to have the following documents being mandatory, go to this particular office, so that you don't run afoul of the law. Otherwise, in the absence of such a clear policy position, Madam Speaker, then we will not have solved the problem. What we basically do is that in our collective anger, we will condemn them for a day or two, then by next week we'll have moved on in typical Kenyan fashion to other more pressing needs or things that you consider are more pressing. Yet we know that this is a phenomena that we need to address, because even in many of our cities, Madam Speaker, those that you want to consider to be world-class cities like Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu, any of these upcoming cities, what is a plan that we have come up with as a government? On many, we expect them to use the public road alongside the rest, but there is no clear demarcated paths for them to park their motorcycles. What are their exact pickup points? We need to start thinking deeply about this particular problem and address it such that it will be easier to explain. It was not until the late Minister of Transport, former Minister Michuki, took a radical position on what to do with the matatu sector, that at least it reformed, and many of the bad habits that they were known for until that particular point were done away with, Madam Speaker. Therefore, the same is expected. During that campaign, Madam Speaker, and he led from the front, he never spoke from the steps of Harambee House. He went to the bus station. He went to each and every matatu terminus that is known within the city, and showed people that you must first of all belt up. This is the maximum number of passengers for this type of vehicle. There must be clear, dedicated effort from those that are charged with this responsibility, so that many of them can understand and know what is expected of them. Otherwise, like the rest of Kenyans, I condemn, I don't mind being informed by Senator Sakaja.
Yes, Senator Sakaja.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I want to thank Senator Cheriot for his statements and what he's saying, and just want to inform him that part of what I've asked for, the first thing I've asked for is for, of course, justice, and for, these 16 people or 14 to face the full force of the law. The second thing I did was on his behalf and all other men, including the clerk, apologize to that lady and give her sympathy. Okay. But the third thing I've said is that the security committee of this house needs to invite the CS of Interior, because the police are under him, the CS of Transport, NTSA is actually under Interior, but also the CS of Transport, the Inspector General and the Traffic Commandant, to come even with the leadership of the Bodaboda, because I've been talking to them the whole morning. The leaders also have condemned this act, but they're saying, you want to do a crackdown without parameters. What are you cracking down? Yeah. So instead of that blanket condemnation of them, we want next week, and I hope senators will be here, for us to sit in this house with these CSs, with the Inspector General of Police, with the NTSA, and with the leadership of Bodaboda, because the leadership is known, to agree on what is the order that we're bringing to this sector. That is the real ask, Madam Speaker, and that is what I've asked you to direct that be done. Because otherwise, we will be ranting in this house like other Kenyans are ranting and whining on Twitter and on Facebook, and the Senate does not speak in vain. So I hope, Senator Cheriot, because you're also from an urban county, you know these challenges we're talking about, that we'll all be here and get a solution so that we don't jeopardize the livelihoods of thousands of also these young people who are honest, the ones who are good, because of rogue elements. But let's create order, Madam Speaker. That is the information I need to give my good friend, Senator Cheriot.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I appreciate that information. They say great minds think alike. I had not listened to what he had asked for, but that's exactly, when I read about this statement, I thought that would be the clearest and the simplest thing to clearly define what needs to be done. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this chance. I appreciate it.
I noticed that we don't have any more requests, but of course we have all those that have spoken have conversed about a very serious incident that has occurred that needs the immediate attention of this House. I therefore order that this statement goes to the relevant two committees of the House, that is the Security Committee and the Transport Committee, so that they have a joint sitting to sort out this mess, and of course not forgetting the security departments or individuals that have been named by the, Senator Sakaja. So they should be able to summon and be able to sort out this with all those that are concerned. So then we expect, I order that the Security Committee immediately sits with the Transport Committee, and to be able to report back to this House as soon as possible. I know we note that we are going on recess in the next 2 days, but they should be able to report to us on the first sitting immediately we resume from recess. Next order. No, we have, I noticed that we still have